I'm Forrest, KI7QCF. My entire YouTube channel is about this, Morse code and amateur radio. So today's video is a little bit off topic as we're going to be talking about Meshtastic. That's right, this is my first radio that I've owned maybe since middle school that isn't an amateur radio. And I'm very, very excited about it. So why me, an amateur radio operator, somebody that has the highest level of license available to amateurs, which is the extra license, why am I all of a sudden getting interested in Meshtastic? Well, what is Meshtastic? This little radio, as well as teaser, beacon, solar beacon, we're going to get into this here in a second, gives me the ability to do really three critical things that I care about. So first and foremost, off-grid texting. If the grid went down today, how could you communicate with your family? If you don't have an amateur radio license, you don't have a GMRS license, which by the way, those two require licenses. Why I say that, you better have something like Meshtastic. And this is really picking up steam right now. It's pretty exciting to see what's happening in the Meshtastic community as far as their ability to have off-grid communication. Off-grid communication is why I got into amateur radio in the first place. Additionally, this can do some GPS coordinates, and it's also a critical infrastructure piece for creating an emergency communications network. And I'm very, very excited that at Levox, my buddy Matt set me up with both the Meshtastic radio for my testing as well as the solar beacon. I also want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Steve, Hobby Steve. Many of you guys know him from YouTube. He's gotten into CW, Morse code, and amateur radio, and as a result, we became good friends. He's actually in my Discord, and I see him all the time trying new things, trying different hobbies. We're very similar that way in that we enjoy multiple hobbies, but with radio, I've been pretty siloed and isolated into just CW. It's what I truly love. But when I saw him doing Meshtastic, some of the off-grid texting, especially because my wife doesn't have an amateur radio license, I thought, man, I've summited 75 mountains in Utah since the end of March, and I'm typically off-grid with no communication platform other than one of these. And yeah, my wife isn't too fond of communicating with me via that. So this is an interesting idea. I'm very excited to start to test Meshtastic to see how well this works off-grid. And first thing we're going to do, guys, we're actually going to go set up this Meshtastic at Levox solar beacon. It's got the 915 megahertz antenna, which is what will create some infrastructure. I could go out and just use this today in my community based on other beacons that likely exist in my county, but this is going to give me additional range as well as help out my local community by having a beacon node. This is kind of a repeater, but for Meshtastic, and so when people add these, very inexpensive to do and completely isolated. This isn't going to require any additional power source. It's completely solar powered. I also got the one set up with GPS and humidity thanks to my buddy Matt at Levox. So very excited to get this set up and tested, and maybe we'll take this thing out into the field. The nice thing about an 80-meter sky loop is you got a bunch of heavy-duty masts. So what I use to attach the beacon to my heavy-duty mast outside is called grip lock ties. It has a 70-pound working load, and these are UV rated, so these are good for permanent outdoor installations. And I like that they have this little rubber lining on them. It just makes them more durable, less friction, they don't slip. Really, really nice. Guys use these in aviation. That's actually what they're designed for. But I've used them on a ton of motorcycle builds and different things.
Well, I'm on a hiking trail and I don't have cell service. It's a pretty nice canyon, so I don't know if this is gonna get out, but my wife doesn't have a ham radio license and not much interest in getting one, nor interest in Morse code for now. So I thought Meshtastic would be a cool way to see if I could have off-grid communication with her. So I snagged a Meshtastic radio for her. At Levox sent me this with the beacon, which I've just had so much fun with, but we're gonna see if I can send a text to my wife right now.
Mission success. I was able to text my wife while I was up this canyon. This is going to be great for when I'm out in the backcountry, but also critical for any grid down type scenario.